So instead of staying out of the muck and using their speed, the Buffalo Sabres did exactly what they did in Game 2, which was to play Boston's game and not play it nearly as well as Boston does. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. And the Sabres lost a 2-1 overtime game to the Boston Bruins, and the game makes me mad. Not because an overtime game is necessarily a bad game. It's usually not. Objectively, it was a very exciting game of hockey with the Sabres taking the lead, then the Bruins tying it back up, then the advantage seeming to go back and forth between the two teams. They had penalty kills, there were saves. It's like all these different things happened. And the problem for me is that there were stretches where the Sabres looked dominant on the ice, but they didn't do any of the things that are advantage Sabres. And let's go through them because they match the 3 points I said before the game yesterday. They ended up in the penalty box more, which even if you don't lose on that penalty, right? Even if you kill that penalty, that'll wear you down a little bit. And it puts more stress on your goaltender. It just does. You're a man down. They get cleaner shots. It just happens. They had more shots on goal overall. And the reason they had more shots on goal overall is because for some reason, the Sabres couldn't figure out how to get clean passes going. And they got stuck in the muck and the mire. The Bruins are slower than the Sabres. They want to be in that muck and that mire. Number one way to get in the muck and the mire is for the Buffalo Sabres to take needless penalties. And the other way is just for the Sabres to get caught up in playing the Sabres or playing the Bruins game at the blue line. And that's what the Bruins did. They copied their strategy from Game 2, and the Sabres couldn't do anything about it. Or the Sabres weren't doing anything about it. That's the other way to look at that. And it was because the Sabres slowed their game way down. They did. You saw it during stretches of the game. When the Sabres sped up, it was lights out and different. But even when they sped up, the Sabres had less shots on goal, but they didn't take less shots. Or rather, they didn't take fewer shots. That's the grammatically correct way to say that. They didn't take fewer shots, but their shots never got to Swayman. Even when they looked dominant. Their shots kept getting blocked. They were hitting skates. They were hitting sticks. Never got a bounce. And credit to Jeremy Swayman. Credit to Jeremy Swayman of the Boston Bruins. He had one hell of a game. I mean, he let in one goal and then did the opposite of what I thought he would do. I thought he was pretty leaky. Instead, he let in one goal and then stood on his head for the rest of the game. The Sabres had a number of really, really good chances. Sabres had a number of really good chances, and they just couldn't convert. Part of the reason they couldn't convert was because Swayman just played his head off. The other reason they couldn't convert was because their shots just never got to the net. Dahlin finally got a goal on the power play, which was great. The Sabres had been 0-for on the power play. I say 0-for, which is just a way of saying they had not scored on the power play all series, and in fact, all during the month of April. But it was like the Sabres only cared about that. They looked slow. They looked unmotivated. They did not look like a team that realized it was fighting a team fighting for its playoff life. And that was the thing the Bruins had seemingly on their side, was that they were completely backs against the wall, and they were going to put it all out there on the ice and just everything, throwing the kitchen sink at the Sabres. And the Sabres really didn't have much of a response for it. I'm glad the Sabres didn't, start fights, right? Not that I don't love a good fight, but there was no point in starting a fight when you're up 3-1 in a series and it's your advantage. There's no point, especially tied at 1-1. You're not exactly it's not a game where you say to yourself, we really need a spark to try and come back here. No. It was an evenly matched game. The problem is these are not evenly matched teams. The Buffalo Sabres are objectively the better team than the Boston Bruins. The Bruins right now are playing with house money. They're down 3-2 in the series, and it's house money for them going forward. Because they lose, they were down 3-1 in the series. They win, oh my God, they came back down 3-1. The Sabres have to get back to their game. And their game is fast, and their game is furious. And there was none of that last night. There was really no big Sabres hits. And I hear everybody talking about how the Bruins were playing like a bunch of goons and they got away with a couple of calls. Okay. That doesn't help you, right? Like if the refs are going to swallow their whistles, you have to know that. And you have to play through it. You have to figure out a way to get through that and get around that. It sucks, right? It sucks seeing, I think it was Doan on the crease who got basically a stick between his legs and had the stick rip up. And the ref just sort of looked at it like, yeah, that's a clean play. Then someone got headlocked. I didn't see who, but somebody went down, somebody headlocked a guy and ripped him down to the ice. I didn't catch the number of who that was, but, the Bruins guy was doing the headlocking. But it's not an excuse. It's playoff hockey. The refs at various points are going to choose to swallow their whistles. I think going into Boston on Friday. Going into Boston on Friday, I think you do need a little physicality early. But you don't need to give up your speed to be physical. We saw that when the Sabres were in Boston for games 3 and 4. They didn't sacrifice any speed whatsoever, and they were the more physical team. The Sabres have everything they need to win this series and go on a deep playoff run. But they need to put it together. It hurts that Noah Ostlund is going to be out for some time, but Josh Norris is ready to come back. That's very helpful. And you have the talent you need. Your top line should be a dominant line. And the top line for the Sabres hasn't been dominant the last couple of games, even as the Sabres have won the games. They've been good. They've been great. They've been playing well both ways. But they haven't been dominant. Tage Thompson scored 2 goals in the first game, and now his shots have all gone kind of ice cold. You get the sense that the dam's got to break somewhere. I don't know. It was a bad game. The Sabres played a bad game. It sucks they played a bad game on home ice when, the mood was so high for the fans. But I will speak as a Buffalo Sabres fan, and I will speak on behalf of Buffalo Sabres fandom. We don't care where they win the series so long as they win. I'm not going to be picky about it. If they can win, they'd have to go to Game 7 to win in Buffalo, and I really don't want them to go to Game 7. Win in Boston, walk the home crowd out of the arena. Beautiful thing. Would love to see it. Love to see it happen. I would love to see Dave Portnoy be at Game 6 to try and bring up the vibes of the Boston Bruins and the Sabres to make him cry as he goes home. But But those are just my thoughts. Sabres, you got 2 days. Work on your speed. Work on your shots. Get Swayman off his mark. Be a little more physical. Stay out of the muck and mire. Those are my thoughts. Anyways, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.